It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another discussion video for Season 9 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at some new titles and synopsises for the last few episodes of this half of the season, Season 9, Episode 5, 6, 7, and 8. And of course, all of these episodes are more or less close to when we will potentially see Rick Grimes die or have an open-ended story and leave the show. But the titles and synopsises that I'm going to go over come from comicbook.com. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can go and check that out. Now, before I actually start this, I do want to make an announcement. Some of you might have kind of seen this already, but I created a new Twitter account for the channel. It's AH1993Super. The link will be in the description. So I'll appreciate it if you guys can go and follow me on Twitter. That way, not only are we going to be more interactive, but it's another way for you guys to be updated about daily uploads and discussion videos that we're going to do. So of course, there's the Facebook page of the channel. The link is also in the description. You can go there and like and follow that. But the Twitter is just another outlet. I'm probably going to be more interactive on the Twitter than the Facebook, but you can find me on both of those, and of course on YouTube. So with all of that said, let's jump right into this. So again, these synopsises and titles come from comicbook.com. The link will be in the description. So let's jump into it. Episode 905 is titled, What Comes After? The official synopsis for the episode reads, Rick is forced to face the past as he struggles to maintain the safety of the communities and protect the future he and Carl envisioned. So of course, Rick is finding it very difficult making the communities work together and be able to have everyone be on the same page. Of course, there are some saviors that are not going to be easy to deal with, like Justin, who we saw, like Mud, another savior. But there are definitely some saviors that are reasonable, like Alden. But it's just a matter of how do we keep everyone in line and have everyone be on the same page. And aside from the saviors, there are definitely characters that are known to be in the survivor camp, like Daryl and Maggie, who are not in line with Rick's decisions either. They appear to want to do things their own way. And based on this synopsis, it appears that that intensity of all of these struggles internally and from some of the saviors, and maybe even some external issues and problems are going to rise that are going to make it difficult for Rick to follow the plan and bring the future Carl envisioned to life. So all of that are pointing towards that being the case. And the title, What Comes After, may be related to Rick and his final episode. Of course, we don't know if his final episode is going to be 905 or 906, but this could potentially be the lead up to Rick's final episode or his final episode itself. Now, based on some of the rumors that are going around, 906 does appear to be Rick's final episode. There are definitely hints, and I'll talk about those. But basically for 905, that's what I think we're going to see. It's going to be a lead up to Rick's final episode. Then 906 is titled, Who Are You Now? That's an interesting title. The synopsis for the episode has not yet been revealed. That's one hint that I was talking about. Why would they not reveal the synopsis? Maybe because it reveals Rick is dead or a major character is dead. And if we know a major character is dead, we would potentially know that it's Rick, because Rick is the biggest character that's going to die in this half of the season. So they would kind of reveal it if they do that. However, even if they don't reveal the synopsis like they have now, it works the same way because we know there has to be a reason they didn't reveal it. So Rick must be dying in this episode. So that's one hint that I have for thinking this is Rick's final episode. Singular. Not episodes, but episode. And the other hint is that there was an interview done with Greg Nicotero, and he said that he directed Rick's final episode. And if you take a look at the directors that have been named for the first half of Season 9, 906 is the episode Greg Nicotero directed. So those two are pretty solid hints for me, confirming that this is Rick's final episode. But the title, Who Are You Now? This doesn't really connect to Rick, but it does connect to Negan. And that's very interesting because who have we heard time and time again in the last couple seasons talking about who are you now? Negan. What do the saviors say? We are Negan. What did Negan ask Dwight and Eugene? Who are you? You know what I mean? So that's definitely interesting. I think there's definitely a connection between Negan and Rick in this episode. And like I said, because the title says who are you now, and because this appears to be Rick's final episode, it appears to me that Negan is somehow connected to Rick's final episode and his death potentially. Now, I'm not saying Negan is going to kill Rick, but it could be something along the lines of Negan is connected somehow to the events leading up to Rick's death. And also, as we've kind of heard before, there's going to be an intense scene between Maggie and Negan. That might happen in this episode as well because, of course, Maggie is rumored to also be leaving in this episode or the episode before, one of the two. Again, for her, it's going to be an open-ended story. They're not going to kill Maggie. That's been confirmed. But, like I said, the fact that Maggie and Negan are going to have an intense scene and that the title says, who are you now? Which kind of connects to Negan. And also, since we know this is more likely going to be Rick's death, I'm starting to think we're going to see an epic and intense episode 906 because we might see an intense scene between Maggie and Negan. Negan might do something and he might escape or something along those lines, and there might be things happening that lead up to potentially Rick's death. And everything might be connected somehow. And I definitely am very excited for this episode. I can't wait for this episode. Next episode, 907, is titled Stradivarius. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the official synopsis for it reads, Carol seeks out an old friend, living alone in the wilderness, teeming with walkers. Survivors make the perilous trek to a new home. Now, there's a couple interesting things here, but before I get into them, one thing, this episode is directed by Michael Cutlitz. Of course, Michael Cutlitz played Abraham Ford in The Walking Dead. So this is his first time directing an episode. And so that's very interesting. But the other thing is that the name, which is very odd, or it's just a unique name, matches Abraham's character. And that's very interesting. Doesn't mean Abraham is featured in the episode, definitely not, but I just thought that was an interesting touch. I wonder if Michael Cutlitz had something to do with naming this title. Maybe he did. That's interesting though. But Carol seeks an old friend, living alone in the wilderness, teeming with walkers. Who could that be? The more I think of it, the more I come to the conclusion that maybe this is also connected to Rick and his death. Maybe whatever happens to Rick gets someone that's very close to him to leave and go out and be by themselves. It can't be Carol because they say Carol seeks out an old friend. So it can't be Carol, but it has to be someone that's considered Carol's friend. Who could that possibly be? I think there's a very good chance they're talking about Daryl. Maybe after the events of 906, Daryl is just so broken for losing someone this close to him that he just leaves and goes out and tries to survive by himself. That's definitely a possibility, and I could definitely see Carol going out looking for Daryl and trying to get him back. That definitely makes sense. And also, since we know there's most likely going to be another time jump around the time Rick goes away or dies, that also connects as well, because potentially we could be seeing Daryl going out and being by himself and surviving by himself for a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, maybe even longer than that. So that all kind of makes sense and relates somehow. And the last part of this synopsis, survivors make the perilous trek to a new home. That's interesting. Does that mean maybe a community is completely wiped out or completely destroyed or is no longer livable, forcing residents to leave the community? This definitely hints at that. And the only community that we know of right now that fits that description perfectly is Sanctuary, because it's no longer livable, right? So what I could definitely see being a possibility is that everyone at the Sanctuary, all the saviors, are going to leave, join other communities, or maybe build a new community and go from there. That's definitely very interesting, and this definitely does hint at that. And episode 908, which is the mid-season finale, is an interesting one. It's a juicy one. For comic readers, it definitely does hint at the first real introduction of the Whispers from the comics. The Whispers, of course, for non-comic readers, are a group of villains that are going to appear in this season. So 908 is named Evolution. That's interesting. I'll get to why that's interesting in a sec. But the official synopsis for the episode reads, a small rescue mission braves a dangerous herd in their hunt for a missing comrade, only to discover a surprising threat that could doom them all. So there's a couple things in there. One, they're gonna rescue someone. There's a small team. They're going out looking for a missing comrade and they want to rescue them. It could possibly be Daryl, and that could connect to the synopsis for the last episode, but we don't know for sure. But the other part that's very interesting is a surprising threat that could doom them all. That just whispers to me. I don't know about you guys, but it whispers for me. Now, there's something very interesting here because, of course, if we go to the trailer for season 9, specifically the first half of the season, there is that scene at the very end where we have Rosita and Eugene covering themselves in dirt and mud, and they hear someone speak. They hear, where are they? And they're just walkers passing by. There's no one around. And that's pretty much one of the biggest reveals from the comics for the Whispers, or the new villains. But because they put that in the trailer and they haven't finished filming the entire first half of the season, when the trailer was released, it leads me to think that maybe that's going to happen earlier. And that's going to be one surprising reveal, and then we're not going to hear anything about it until later. And of course, because we do know there's going to be a big time jump again, that also makes things very interesting. So it could be a very slow reveal, and it could be a mysterious reveal, which I definitely like. Now, for non-comic readers, the part from the synopsis, they discover a surprising threat that could doom them all. That's part of a second reveal that is also very, very interesting. And if they do it exactly like the comics, it could be one of the most vicious scenes in Walking Dead history. Now, going to the title now, Evolution. That's interesting because I think what this is referring to is the way the new villains live. Whispers. And maybe it relates to how some people, like the Whispers, had to go through an evolution in order to survive long term. That's very interesting. I think that's the case. I don't want to get into it too deep because I don't want to reveal it for non-comic readers, but for comic readers, I think I have given you enough for you to know what I'm saying. But that's basically all of the synopsises and titles that we got. This video was extremely long, but it is what it is. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads. Like and follow the Facebook page of this channel to join our community. And check out the upload schedule to learn more about daily uploads.